Hi everyone, welcome you all. In this video, I'm going to talk about tuple in TypeScript. So basically what is a tuple? So tuple is a new type which includes multiple set of values of different data types. So normally when I create an array, we can store a same data type of values. Whereas when you create a tuple, we can store different values of different type of data. So basically it represents the heterogeneous collection of values. So to create a tuple in TypeScript, we can just define the variable like this, where and employee is a variable equal to, and we can directly assign the values like this. In the square bracket, we can add multiple values of different types. Or like suppose if I want to say strictly the type of the data, so we can say like this, where employee and the type of data we need to specify like number comma string. So when I say number comma string, we can add the data into this tuple in the same type, like say number a string I mentioned here, so 1 comma Steve, and similarly say let's say 2 comma John or 3 comma David, so something like this. So without specifying the type also we can create in a tuple, or with the type also we can create a tuple. So now I'll show you some examples how we can perform different type of operations on tuples. Let me open my Visual Studio Code, and here I can say I can create a new file, test script file, and here I will name it as tuple-demo.ts. Now here first let's see how we can declare a tuple. So normally if you want to store an employee data, so for example employee is having number string, employee is having ID, right? So name and then employee salary. If you want to store these data, I can create a 3 different variable like this. Let's say var, and let's say emp id, and the id is a number and equal to let's say 101. So this is one variable I need to create. And similarly let's say var, to store employee name, I can create one more variable, employee name, and this is a string variable, and here I can say employee name, let's say John. And similarly if you want to store employee salary, I say var emp sal, and the type is again number, and here I can say equal to, and you can say some salary. So if you want to store employee data, at least I need 3 different variables: employee ID, name, and salary. But instead of creating multiple variables, I can just create only one variable, and then I can store all this data into one variable. So then I can use a tuple. So to define the tuple, how we can do is, instead of writing these 3 statements, I can just create a one tuple. So let me show you how to declare a tuple. So we can declare a tuple in 2 different ways. One is without type and with the type. So suppose if you want to define a tuple or declare a tuple without type, then we can say like this, where I'll create a variable called employee and equal to, in the square bracket directly you can assign the value. Let's say 101 is employee number, and John is an employee name, and 50,000 is employee salary. So this is the one way to declare a tuple, so without specifying any type, right? But this is there in JavaScript, but in TypeScript especially, TypeScript is a type language, so we must specify a type of the data. So for that, what you can do is we can just use one more declaration, one more type of declaration. So let's say var employee, and here we have to say type. So what kind of data you're going to store? So the first type of data is a number. So in the bracket we have to mention. So the first type is a number and comma. The second type is a string, right? So number comma string, and the third type is a again number. So this is the way we need to define the type, and then I can assign the value equal to. Now in the square bracket we can say, so number is a first type, so I can say number, say 101 is an employee ID comma string. The second parameter is employee name, I can simply say John is employee name, and third parameter is number, so that is employee salary, I can say employee salary like this. So this is another way of declaring tuple. So with the type, without type also we can declare tuple. And suppose if you want to extract the values, or if you want to print the values in the tuple, I can simply say console.log and specify the name of the tuple like this, and this will print the values which I have stored in the tuple. Now before doing this, we need to compile it into JavaScript, then we can execute this file. So let's try to compile it into JavaScript. So I've opened my terminal, and here I'll say tsc, and my test script file name is tuple demo.ts. So once we have executed this, this will generate a JavaScript file, and then we can run our JavaScript file. So now we can see tuple.js is created. Now by using node command, I can run the JavaScript file. I can say this is tuple.js. So now this is the data currently we have in this particular tuple, right? So this is how we can add any number of values into the tuple. And similarly, we can also do different type of operations. Suppose I want to access a specific element or specific data from this tuple. So how we can access? So let me show you another example. So accessing tuple, how to access the data in the tuple. So for example, here I'll say console.log, and here I want to extract the first value from this tuple. So simply I can say employee of 0. So every value is identified by using index. So here 0, 1 and 2. So index is always start from 0 in the tuple, just like an array. So when I say 0, this will point to the first element, so it will retrieve 101. This is a value which will retrieve. And similarly if I say employee of 1, so this will give you the second value, which is John. So this will return John. And similarly if I say 2 here, so index number 2, this will return 50,000. And if I specify something like a 3 which is not there here, then it will show you undefined. It's just like an array. So now we can extract a specific values from the tuple by passing index number. Now let's compile again, and then we will execute one more time. Now compile in the test script into JavaScript file. Yeah, now it is compiled. Then let's execute our JavaScript file. So now we can see we got individual values. So previously when I print only employee, it print all the data in the form of tuple. But this time I have extracted individual values by passing index, and then I got all the values. And similarly, suppose I want to remove the element from the tuple. I just want to remove the element from the tuple. So currently I have 3 elements. In my tuple, currently I have 3 elements. So now I want to remove some of the element. So for that, we can use a method called push. So we can say, okay, so before removing, let's try to add some of the elements. Let's say add elements into tuple. So to add elements into the tuple, we have a method called push. So by using this method, we can add more number of elements to the tuple. So let me show you how we can add. So let me just comment this for now. This one and also this one. So now let's see how we can add elements into tuple. So before that, let me just create one tuple variable. Let's say var employee, and here I will define number, string, and number, and then I'll add some values into it. I'll say number means employee ID, and then I'll say John is the name of the employee, and then I'll just add some salary. So this is a one more tuple I have created. So now, so currently we have only 3 values, 101, John, and 50,000. So I want to add one more value. So how we can add one more value into tuple? So for that, what I have to do is we need to use a method called employee is my tuple name dot push. So this is a command we have to use, dot put. And here, when you pass a new record, we need to specify the completely like all 3, like name, number, name, and salary, because we strictly specified the type here. So when I adding the new data also, we need to strictly specify 3 elements. But if I don't specify any type here, we can add only single value. Let's say only can add employee ID, or if I want to add only employee name, we can add, or if you want to add only salary, you can add. But strictly we have said here 3 values like number, string, and number. So in the same format, you have to add the data into tuple. So I'll say 102 employee, and I'll say name of the employee, I'll say Scott, and his salary, let's say 70,000. So this is how we need to add a new record or new data elements into tuple. Now after that, again I'm printing it. I'll say console.log, and I'll say employee. Okay. So here, before that, before adding, I'm printing once again here. I'll say console.log, and I'll say employee, right? So here I'm just printing before adding, or I can say original tuple, original values in the tuple, and you can just use plus operator, then it will print all the values. And after adding this new data, I'm again printing the same tuple, but here after adding new elements, I'm saying employee. So now let's save it and then compile once again. TSC, and once you compile, it will again generate JavaScript file. Then I'm executing my JavaScript file. So now we can see previously original tuple having these data 101 John and 50,000. And after adding the new elements, so these are one record and these are another data. So 102 Scott and 70,000 is added. So this is how we can add new elements into tuple by using push method. And similarly, we can also remove the elements. We can also remove the elements from the tuple. So currently these are the elements we have. So let me just print here. So currently these are the elements we have in the tuple. Now from this tuple, from these elements, I just want to remove some of the elements. So how we can remove the elements? I'll say remove elements, right? So I'll say remove elements from tuple. So here we use one more method called pop. Pop is a method. So this method will pop the element from the tuple. So means it will remove the element from the tuple. So for example, so I'm taking the same tuple employee. So these are the current values we have. Let me write it over here. So these are the current values we have in this tuple. So from this tuple, just I want to remove the element. So when I use pop, that particular method will remove the last element by default. So let me do this. So for example, I'll say employee dot pop. So this is a method employee dot pop, and this method will remove the only one element at a time. If you want to remove multiple elements, you have to write multiple times. And then here I'm say console.log, and here I'm printing this again. So I'm just copying this as this. And after remove, here the element will be removed. Now after removing new elements, I'm printing the same tuple. So now we'll see what are the values will be removed. So after removing here, I'm just printing the same tuple and then compile it once again. Now it is generating JavaScript file, then execute JavaScript file. So now we can see after adding new element, this is the latest data. And after removing new element, we got only this data. Means the last value or last element is removed. And similarly, if you want to remove one by one, we can just write multiple pop methods, or you can just put this method in the loop statement, then you can remove one after another. So from the end, so it will start from the end, it will remove one after another. So this is how we need to remove the method from tuple by using pop method. And suppose we already have some elements here. Let's say these are the currently, after removing that one element, we have, these are the elements currently we have. Let me just put it here. So now I just want to update the existing value. Suppose I have some data here. Okay, so I can update. So, or else let me just take another tuple. So let me just comment this. So I want to update existing data in the tuple. So how we can do that? Update element in tuple. So for that, I'm just creating one more tuple. Let's say where employer, can say take one more. Let's say student, where student, and I want to store two data. Let's say number, comma string. Let's say student ID and student name. And here I'm adding the data. Let's say student ID is 10110. Let's say 101, and name of the student is, I'll say Smith. And this is the data currently I have in the student tuple. So now I want to update the name of the particular student. So how we can update? It's very simple. Let's say student is my tuple in the student, and which value we need to update? The second value need to update. Index is starting from 0. So this is a 0, this is a 1. So student of 1, and here you can just provide the new name. I'll say Scott. So this is how we can just update whatever element you want. So just specify the tuple of index equal to the new value. So the old value will be replaced with the new value. So after that, again, I'm printing console.log. I'll say student and semicolon. That's it. So now let me just execute once again. I'm just compiling it. So once it is compiled, then we can run JavaScript file. So it will generate JavaScript file. Now I can run it. So now we can see. So the actual data we have in the student tuple is 101 and Smith. But after updating here, this is a new data we got. This is after updation. So Scott is updated. Okay. So this is how we can update elements in the tuple. And sometimes tuple is also can have multiple arrays. Tuple can hold multiple arrays. Because array itself is a collection of data, right? And we can also have multiple arrays inside one tuple. So one tuple can hold multiple arrays. So how we can store multiple arrays in one tuple? I'll show you now. So we can simply call as a tuple array. I'll say tuple array. Now I'll show you how to store multiple arrays into one tuple. So here I'm creating a tuple. Let's say my tuple, where my tuple, and column, and strictly I'm saying the type also. So here I'll say number, right? Number, and comma, I'll say string. So I'll just say string type. So number, or I say my tuple number, or we can simply say to student. Okay, student. So student is my tuple name, and here I will store student ID, student name. So number and string, and here I want to make the array. So I want to store multiple arrays inside this tuple. So that array contains each array contains two values. One is number, one is string. So how we can make it as a, if I define like this, just as it is, I can store only, you can say suppose equal to, I can store only like this. I can store student ID, comma, and student name is Smith. So like this I can store, or again, one more student, let's say 102, comma, and I can say Scott. So like this I can store. So this is my where student colon and number and string. So these are strictly saying the type equal to ID and the string. I can store only two values here. This is a normal tuple, but I want to store multiple values in the form of arrays. So then what I can do is here I can just say array type. Two additional brackets we have to add. And then I can store multiple values. So now here inside the square bracket, or you can just declare once and you can add values in the next line. So here I'm just doing declaration tuple array. Now inside this tuple I can store multiple array values. So I can say student and equal to, in the take one big square bracket, and here I need to add multiple arrays. So in the first array I want to store number, student number, and student name. I'll say 101, student name is, I'll say Smith. This one array, and comma, and one more array. So you can store one more array. I'll say 102, and here he's a Scott. And I can also create one more array, comma, and student ID is 103, and comma, name is, I'll say Mary. So this is how we can add multiple arrays inside one tuple. So student is a tuple, and when I say square bracket here, this will become tuple. So tuple array. Now, when I create a tuple array, I can store multiple arrays into one tuple. But how we can extract these arrays? If we want to extract these arrays, we can do like this. Simply, we can say student of, when I say 0, student of, when I say 0, and this will extract the first array elements. When I say student of 1, it will extract the second array elements. When I say 2, it will extract third array. So again, every array will have an index. So let me just retrieve console.log student of 0. And similarly, I will also extract 1 and also 2. Done. So now I have created tuple array which contains 3 different arrays, and now I'm printing the individual arrays. I'm extracting individual arrays by adding index, by passing index. All right, so now save it, and then let's execute. Clear, first compile into JavaScript, and once it is converted into JavaScript, then we can execute. Yeah, now I'm executing my JavaScript. So now we can see here. So this is one array, it is printed here, and this is printed like this, and the second array, this is written the second array, and this is written the third array, right? So this way we can create a tuple which contains a multiple array elements, right? So this is a special kind of a type we have in TypeScript. So other than arrays, we can also use alternatively tuple. So the basic difference is in arrays we cannot store different type of elements, and it can hold same data elements. When you come to the tuple, we can store different type of elements, so different data type of elements. So that's all about tuple. All right, so that's all for this video, guys. Thanks for watching.